I asked an AI to recommend a book, and it made one up, not on purpose. It handed me a real-sounding title, a real author I had actually heard of, the publisher, the year, even a quote from page 84. So I opened a tab to go buy it. The book was never written. The quote was never said. And the AI told me all of it without the smallest hint that anything was off. If you have used these tools for more than a week, this has happened to you too. A confident answer, full of detail, and just plain wrong. Most people call it making things up and move on. But that phrase hides what is really going on. So let me open the hood, because once you see how one of these models actually works, this stops being creepy and starts making complete sense. Start with the one thing almost everyone gets backwards. The model never stored that book. It is not a library. It is not a database you're searching through. There is no shelf inside it with the right answer sitting there waiting for you. When most people picture an AI, they picture a giant filing cabinet of facts. That picture is wrong, and honestly, almost everything that confuses people about these tools comes from that one wrong picture. What is actually inside is a network. A huge pile of numbers, billions of them, that got tuned by reading an enormous amount of text. It did not memorize that text. It learned the patterns in it, which words tend to follow which, how a sentence usually flows, what kind of thing usually comes next. And that is the whole job when it answers you. It writes one word at a time. You give it some words and it asks itself one quiet little question. Given everything so far, what word probably comes next? It picks one. Then it reads everything again, including the word it just added, and asks the same thing. What is next? Word by word by word, that is the entire trick. There is no plan. It is not writing toward an answer it already has in mind. It is just taking the next most likely step, again and again, until it decides to stop. Now here is why that matters. Most of the time, the likely next word is also the true one. Ask what color a clear sky is, and the word blue is both the most probable word and the correct one. Those two line up constantly, because the text it learned from was mostly written by people saying things that were true, so it looks like the model knows facts. It does not. It is writing probability, and probability usually agrees with reality. Usually. And that little gap, the space between usually and always, is where the made-up part comes from. Picture two questions side by side. In the first, you ask about a book that really exists. The model walks word by word, and the probable words happen to be the real title, the real author, the real details. Perfect. In the second, you ask about a book that was never written, or you phrase it so it sounds like a specific quote must exist. The model does not have a little alarm that goes off and says, "Hold on, this one is not real." It runs the exact same way. It still asks what word probably comes next. And a title-shaped thing still has likely words. An author name still has likely words. A quote still has likely words, so it builds one. Smoothly, fluently, in the same calm voice it uses for true things. The machine writing the true answer and the machine writing the fake answer are not two different machines. It is one machine, running one process, and from the inside there is no difference between them at all. That is the part people miss. We call it hallucination when the output sounds right but is not. Although honestly, that word makes it sound like something broke, like a glitch. Nothing broke. The model did exactly what it always does. It predicted plausible words. The plausible words just were not true that time. The cleanest way to feel this is to watch it happen with something you can check. Ask one of these tools for 5 quotes from a famous person on some narrow topic. Some will be real. Some will be stitched together from the right vibe and the right vocabulary, pinned to a name that fits. And they will all come out formatted identically, same confident punctuation, same tidy attribution. There is no visual tell, no little mark on the fake ones, because to the model there were never any fake ones. There was just the next likely word, all the way down. Which brings us to the thing that really gets people. Why it sounds so sure. If it is only guessing, why does it not hedge a little? Why no I think or maybe or I am not cert? And the answer is a bit unsettling. The model has no real sense of its own confidence about facts. It produces fluent, assured text because fluent, assured text was the pattern it learned. Sounding certain and sounding careful are just writing styles to it. They are not signals about whether something is actually real. When it writes, the author said in a 2009 interview, it is not lying to your face. It truly does not know there is a difference between a real interview and one it just invented. There is no inner voice double-checking the work. The smoothness you read as confidence is just the model being very, very good at sounding like us. And here is the uncomfortable flip side. That exact same ability is the whole reason these tools are useful in the first place. The thing that lets it fake a quote in a real author's voice is the same thing that lets it draft your email, clean up a messy paragraph, or explain a hard idea in plain words. You cannot keep the useful part and surgically remove the made-up parts because they come from the same place. It is not a bug somebody forgot to fix. It is the shape of how the thing works. So how do you protect yourself without throwing the tool in the bin? A few simple habits carry you most of the way. First, match the tool to the job. When being wrong is cheap, brainstorming, rewording, rough drafts, let it run free. When being wrong is expensive, a name, a number, a citation, anything legal or medical, treat every confident claim as a claim, not a fact. Second, ask it to show its sources, then actually go check them. And watch closely, because sometimes it will cheerfully invent the source too, which honestly tells you everything you need to know. Third, whenever you can, hand it the facts instead of asking it to remember them. Paste the document. Point it at the real text. These tools are far more reliable working from something right in front of them than pulling from that fuzzy cloud of patterns inside. And fourth, keep a small habit of doubt for anything specific and checkable. The more precise and confident the detail sounds, the more it is worth a 10-second look. None of this means the tools are broken or useless. It means you finally know what you are holding. Not a fact machine. A very, very good guesser. One that is right often enough to be genuinely worth it and wrong often enough that you want to stay in the driver's seat. Once that clicks, you stop getting fooled and you start getting the real value out of it. That is the whole game. And it is exactly the kind of thing we break down here, one clear idea at a time.